This past week on the podcast, I'd shared more information about Findaway Voices working with Apple to develop artificial intelligence narrating. And they were using your books with your consent, probably without you even knowing it. Well, there's some more information that rolled out over on the Writer Beware website. Also, it's a great time to be a romance author, and I've got two very good pieces for you to follow if you are a romance author. There's some really great news that has rolled out from the headquarters over at Book Award Pro, and so much more. All that in today's self-publishing news for February the 20th, 2023. All right, let's just jump right on into it. Let's just dive right on in because there is plenty of news to go around for everybody here. Starting it off, very first thing is going to be from the fine folks over at Lulu, and they're actually going to be putting on a webinar here. It's free. 100% free, and as per usual, you hear the word webinar and you automatically think, oh boy, here we go. This person's going to start to upsell me on something. But I assure you, I've been to numerous Lulu webinars, and it's nothing like that. They literally are giving you a presentation free of charge. And this one's a how to write an outline for a nonfiction book. An outline for a nonfiction book is a roadmap that helps the author organize their thoughts and research, and it's a critical step in writing process. Now, if you're a pantser, then chances are very likely you're probably not going to be very interested in watching this, but I would recommend you still consider it. And if you are a plotter, a person who likes to take it step by step by step by step, I like to do that with my nonfiction books, then this is definitely going to be the webinar for you. It's going to be a 45-minute presentation with special guest Stephanie Newell. So make sure that you tune in for that. As per all of the links, I will put those inside the show notes, for that way you can go ahead and access that. All right, moving a little further forward, just another friendly reminder here, folks. Ingram Spark is waiving upload fees with the code BOOKLOVE. It's in all caps, by the way. You want to make sure it's BOOKLOVE, and you'll do that on the last step in the upload process for Ingram Spark. You can use that code twice in the month of February. So this is good for another, 8 days from now as I'm recording this. I just wanted to kind of let you know about that one so you don't miss out. Now, if you've already used your BookLove, I've got a little bit of a safety net, if you will. Hold on to this unless you absolutely need to use it, because you only get a one-time use. That is Dale 2023. That's good for the entire year. Again, that's Dale 2023, 2023, if you want to waive an upload fee over on Ingram Spark. I continue to use the Ingram Spark platform and will continue to do so because they are really doing some great things behind the scenes, and their sales dashboard more recently kind of got cleaned up. So I've been pretty happy with these guys as of late. Another deal, I know I've mentioned this on a previous podcast. I think it's important that I bring this up again because a lot of authors out there are looking for great web hosting services, somewhere that they can kind of put their website and actually trust that it's going to be taken care of. My preferred website is web host site is called SiteGround. That's easy for me to say sometimes. Right now, they're actually running 80% off. So this is like literally $3 per month right now. If you were to sign up, you will get 80% off. Love that deal. It's not too bad because normally it's $14.99. Yes, this site does come at a higher premium, but in my opinion, it is definitely one worth looking into. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully, if you've already used SiteGround, fantastic, great. That's good news. Keep on doing that. I know that they had at one point or another, if you upgraded, I think it was 50% off. So if you already have SiteGround and you want to look at one of the higher plans, you can always do that. Love me some SiteGround. Even last week, I'd shared Kindlepreneur actually shared their enthusiasm for SiteGround as well. So moving a little further forward, this actually comes from the fine folks over at Barnes & Noble Press, and I'm really glad to see this happening. It is Barnes & Noble Press. If you're not familiar with it, let me just go ahead and introduce you to it. If you were to check out press.barnesandnoble.com, I think it is where it's located. You are able to distribute through the Barnes & Noble platform. Now, for print books, it's US only, but for ebooks, it is distribution everywhere. So why am I so excited about seeing Barnes & Noble Press putting together videos? Because I think this is something that all of the self-publishing platforms should be modeling. They need to be a little bit more, engaged with the community, because a lot of us have a lot of burning questions. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and pick on Amazon KDP, but Amazon KDP really needs to have something like this, something that really establishes them a little bit more at the forefront, and they could start addressing some of the concerns and questions that the people that are using their platform would like to know without having to go through the barrier of using, a support form or support ticket where you get a canned response. So so at any rate, starting your next chapter with Barnes & Noble Press was the second official video that they've actually had on their business page over on Facebook. I've yet to sit down and really watch it, but from what I could kind of see from my skimming and such, it looks like they're really having a great time. And so yes, make sure that you tune into there. I hit the follow over on the Facebook page for Barnes & Noble Press. I think you should definitely do the same thing too. Make sure you get notifications for all their videos. Let's go on further forward. This is the part where I said, hey, if you're a romance author, now is a good time to be in this business, because Readsy Live is actually going to be running their own little workshop here. It's on February the 22nd between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's how to write romance that stands out. Romance is the hottest selling genre on the market. That's an understatement. And every single one contains a love story. So how do you make yours stand out? It's literally a free ticket. You can go in. I think Readsy, they always put on some great workshops. So I highly, highly recommend it. Now, we're talking about Readsy. We talked about Barnes & Noble Press before that. Let's go ahead and segue on over into Kobo Writing Life, another great distribution platform. I highly recommend you check it out. And in my opinion, they probably have one of the best user interfaces when it comes to self-publishing books. I like KDP, but I think that Kobo has it dialed in just right. Chef's kiss, love it. Well, at any rate, they're going to be doing a live Q&A romance roundtable with 5, that's right, count them, 5 different authors in this space, including one of my favorites. I don't read any of her romance books, but Elena Johnson, she is always a gem. I loved her talks over at 20 Books. I've seen her talk at Inkers Con. I don't think that she's, going to phone it in on this one either. But the other speakers include B.E. Baker, Jan Moran, Jean Orem, and Kelly Goles Gilbert. So at any rate, please make sure that you go take a look at that. And by the way, you can actually see a lot of these different videos that Kobo Writing Life does over on their YouTube channel. They're very active over there. Just look up Kobo Writing Life, and you're going to find out real quick why I really enjoy them. Let's move a little further forward. This actually comes from the folks over at the Hotsheet. If you want to get access to the Hotsheet, by the way, I can't give you a link to the actual article because you have to pay for it. It is a subscription based. But if you go over to the hotsheetpub.com, you can get yourself set up with a subscription. I think she actually still has like a 2-month trial if you want to try it out. But here's a little piece that I really wanted to focus on from last week's newsletter, and that is regardless of participation in these efforts. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up from this particular point here. They're talking about TikTok, and whether or not this is going to be a viable avenue for you remains to be seen. But here's the information that they give about TikTok. TikTok also finally confirmed rumors that employees influence the For You feed, hand selecting content they wish to go viral with a heating feature. I'm going to do quotations on heating. A TikTok spokesperson told The Verge this button is used to diversify content and consists of about 0.002% of posts, but sources obtained by Forbes indicate this number is closer to 1 to 2% of For You content and is often used to incentivize brands and influencers they wish to be active on the network. Despite this, Book Talk remains a powerful force in influencing book sales, and the authors have the greatest success on TikTok continue to be those who are consistent in posting frequently, a few times per day, that's 3 times per day here, folks, and who track and engage with the trends of their subgenre. So this is really kind of great information. I know I've seen a lot of authors ask me like, hey, if I do video, where should I be going? Should I go to YouTube? Should I go to TikTok? Should I go to Instagram Reels? Where's the best place? I always tell people go with where you're comfortable. That really is what it comes down to. Wherever your audience is and where you're most comfortable in posting content. And TikTok definitely is an area that you can look into. I've found, at least in my experience, that it was easier to grow a following on TikTok than it was for me to do on YouTube. However, on the flip side of things, I found that it's much easier to get monetized through avenues like YouTube versus something like TikTok. And I think they actually even did like a study on the RPM, which is how much you're paid per 1,000 views. And it was way, way lower on TikTok than what it was over on YouTube itself. So take that for whatever you will. Definitely consider looking into expanding your brand. TikTok could probably be one of those options, but bear in mind they said consistency and a few times per day. Wow, I don't know that I've got that much time in my day. Hey, this one came across my dashboard, and I think this actually came through on our Discord server, which I'm going to talk more about the Discord server here a little bit later. This actually is a petition that was put together by Marlo Locker. And this petition specifically says, stop the unfair removal of titles on Amazon, change the KDP select policy. So let me give you guys the TLDR on this one here. And again, the link is going to be inside the show notes if you want to go through and browse it for yourself. What's happening is people are enrolling their books into KDP Select. And then what ends up happening is, for whatever reason, a pirate will come in and just steal the content. You know, pirates will find a way. Those grifters just get on in through the cracks one way or the other. Well, the problem is books are being taken down because then what's happening is Amazon's got a crawler that goes through and figures out, okay, where are some books that are supposed to be on KDP Select that's being made available elsewhere. And so it's finding some of these pirated versions, and then rather than talking to the creator and saying, hey, you know, what's the deal? They're flagging them. These are for pirated sites. And so this petition's already set at about 34,458 signees as of today. They need about 35,000 is what they're shooting for. Will it make a huge difference? I don't know. I think it's probably going to be very difficult on the back end of things. Is how does Amazon still look out for their best interests while not really squashing our best interests in the process? Because you're running into issues like this. It's bad enough that you find out that your book pirated over on some website, but now you're going to get blocked over in KDP because someone stole your stuff. So I think that there probably needs to be a better vetting system. How does that work? I don't know. That's going to be completely up to KDP. Sign the petition. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but it only takes 2 seconds of your time to sign a petition, and hopefully something comes about with that. All right, other news going further forward here is coming from KDP Select. The KDP Select Global Fund is actually up to $47.9 million in January. Wow. Are we going to see it hit $50 million by the end of the year? I think so. I think at least by December, the latest, we'll see it hit $50 million. I'm a personal fan of Kindle Unlimited. Been a pretty big fan because you're able to just go in, buy, I don't know, $9.99 per month, and you're able to just check out as many books as you like. It's really a nice system. Not quite as nice as a library system because libraries don't cost any money, but you do get some books that you wouldn't get through the library on Kindle Unlimited. So 47.9 million, I never thought I would see the day, but that is absolutely incredible. All right, so let's come over to the main news piece. It's coming over and referring back to the recent controversy surrounding Findaway Voices and a small bit of fine print that was discovered that pretty much showcased that Findaway Voices was automatically opting in your audiobooks to the Apple Artificial Intelligence training systems. So what they were doing is they were taking your books that you were distributing through them, and they were allowing Apple to train their artificial intelligence with your content. Now, there's some real rights issues involved with that. And as far as myself, narrating my own audiobooks, if I choose to opt in for something like that, then that's completely up to me. But when I work with the narrator, with that exchange, that value exchange, if you will, the narrator is recording for an audio book, not to train artificial intelligence. So by having this opt-in option within Findaway Voices agreements, this really stepped on a lot of narrators because their voice is their artistic expression. And somebody else felt that way too as well. And that includes the SAG-AFTRA, which is essentially the Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA, I'm forgetting what it stands for. Either way, it's for acting. And these are voice actors after all, in some instances with fiction. So the update actually comes through the Writer Beware blog. Highly recommend subscribe to it, folks. It's fantastic. They just updated on the 14th of February. Responded to questions from members. National Director of Audiobooks Jane Love and others from SAG-AFTRA met with Findaway Voices last week to discuss the machine learning clause. Here is their update, which reports some good news. All right, I'm going to read most of this so that way everybody gets an understanding of where we're at right now, because it's good news. Over the last week or so, we've heard from a number of you regarding a clause in Findaway's terms of service agreement with authors and license holders that authorized Apple to use the material for machine learning training and models unless the author and license holder specifically opted out. That's in quotes. First, many thanks to all of you who brought this to our attention. We met with Findaway team last week outlining SAG-AFTRA's position that performers' voices may not be used beyond the distribution of the audiobooks they consent to narrate. Further, we made clear that any language attempting to acquire permission from performers, or in this case, the author and publisher for machine learning or digital simulation, is unenforceable until bargained directly with SAG-AFTRA, and that the terms and conditions of these rights are mandatory subjects of bargaining. As such, we told them that we do not consider any such rights transferred. The dialogue was very positive, and we're pleased to report, here's the good news, folks, that Findaway and Apple immediately agreed to halt any and all use of files for machine learning purposes. This quote-unquote halt covers all files dating back to the beginning of this practice. We will now focus on bargaining with Findaway over fair terms around any future use of material for digital training purposes. Now, rather than reading the entire rest of this stuff, that's essentially what we have learned so far. So by SAG-AFTRA going in and having this conversation with Findaway, they were able to stop this whole agreement portion of stuff. Now, should you still opt out? I would still recommend, if this is not something that you want to have your audiobooks being distributed and being used for, then opt out right away. But it's good to see that they have stopped it right now, and of course, retroactively done that as well. I reached out to Findaway Voices for comment 3 times already, and on the 3rd time, I really kind of pressed them, and they said essentially, hey, we can't comment right now because we're still trying to get things kind of in order. But they said as soon as they do have a statement, they would circle back around to me. I completely understand that. I just wish that they would have maybe said something a little sooner, because this is a company that I worked directly with as a sponsor at one point of this channel. So it's disappointing that they would drop the ball in some regards like this. Not just putting this agreement in here without further notifying everybody, without having to read these type of agreements, the legalese involved in it. That's a substantial change to the agreement. And this, according to some people, dates back to 2019. I've been following them for a long time. So I was just kind of surprised when something like this came up. I am not worried about my voice being utilized, but I'm worried about the narrators who did not opt in for this type of thing that I have worked with, because that's mustard on my face. And I feel a little bit embarrassed because I didn't read the fine print. So here I am. Oh, well, and Findaway Voices can probably come back and say, well, you agreed to the agreement. Touché, you're correct. But with such a substantial change, I don't think it should be buried at the very bottom of a terms of service agreement. So hopefully we get some type of closure from Findaway Voices relatively soon. I am not telling you not to distribute through Findaway Voices. Fantastic company, has the widest reach when it comes to audiobooks. Heck, some platforms even use Findaway for distribution. So just go right to the source. Just know that when you do sign an agreement digitally, you need to go through and read it. Even if you saw some bald-headed guy over on YouTube telling you that you should sign up for a Findaway Voices account and just agree to the agreement. No. Go through, read the fine print. If it doesn't make sense to you, reach out to their support. So there is one thing that I've learned in this whole process, is to be a lot more diligent about reading the fine print for the agreements across each of these platforms. Hey, let's move a little further forward. Let's cleanse the palate here a little bit with a little bit of fun news. Now, I've talked about Book Award Pro in the past, and more recently, I shared how they're now offering book reviews for, finding book reviews for your book through a targeting system, as well as their new feature for story marketing. This was a great conversation that came up over inside my Discord community. And if you're not on Discord yet and you've never been there, don't worry. I got you covered. I'll walk you through it. It's totally safe. It's totally fun. It's a much better place to be beyond, say, Facebook, because sometimes Facebook, you're having to play with some algorithm. And if I want to communicate directly with you, I shouldn't have to do that through some stinking algorithm. All right. Discord removes that. It's a great community to be there. It's essentially almost like an online forum. It will be overwhelming at first if you have not been there. Go to dalelinks.com/Discord. Now, with that out of the way, there was a great conversation that was brought up, and one of our members had said at one point or another, said, hey, I was told by a famous and successful author that book awards were essentially a waste of money and a scam. And then I had another person saying, well, you shouldn't have to pay to get an award. Yeah, a lot of awards programs require payment because you're having to pay for the overhead cost. Do you think someone's going to take your 300 or 400 page epic length novel and read it 100% free and then give you an award for free? That doesn't make any sense. Think about that. If you were a business owner, would you do that? Even places like the Pulitzer Prize require an entry fee. Yes, an entry fee. So, as far as anything as awards being scams, if you feel like that's completely not your game, that's totally fine. But here's something I felt was really good coming from the founder of Book Award Pro. Her name's Hannah Jacobson, and Hannah actually said, this is an interesting conversation. Keep in mind, self-promo is different from award-winning or promotion in general. It's possible this author is very successful in a style of award where he enters an award which requires him to self-promote his book, get votes, and win the award that way. I'm glad to hear that is successful for him, but is not interesting or feasible for many authors. That also does not make other awards like the Pulitzer Prize, which charges an entry fee, exploitative. As always, you may choose which awards you want to submit to, but charging an entry fee is not a sign of exploitation. Awards are a business service, and it often makes sense for them to charge a fee. And then she was able to kind of further go on and say, I'm glad to hear your thoughts as well, because she was discussing this with two of the members. However, when you do the work writing your book, publishers are not paying you to publish it. That sounds wonderful in theory, of course, but there are many ways in which that is not the case in life or publishing. When it comes to awards, and if you're feeling very unsure about them, my advice is to take a look at your marketing strategy. Instead of worrying about what you shouldn't do, look at the possibilities and ways to share your book that are comfortable for you and move you closer to your goals. The world is your oyster, and there are lots of ways to find new readers. There are many authors who do find success by using awards as a tool in their toolbox. Perhaps you take a different route, and that's perfectly okay. So if you're looking at book awards and you're saying, I don't know, like this might not be a thing, you could still set up with Book Award Pro 100% free through my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro, and just do the free account. See what awards come in. Now, this was a question somebody expanded on. They said, okay, I'm sure there's going to be some awards programs that probably aren't as good as they say they are. I'm paying this entry fee. What makes it worthwhile? If you are really just wanting to know the nitty-gritty on an award platform, obviously go look for yourself and see if it is going to be a good fit for you, if it makes sense to you. Because what I prefer is not going to be the same thing as what you prefer. But here's one recommendation is I would recommend that you go over to the Alliance of Independent Authors website at selfpublishingadvice.org. And they actually have a book award and contest ratings list. And they've actually gone through and looked at specific awards programs that they consider excellent, that they consider recommended, mixed, caution, or even an advisory, which means that if it's not a good program, they're going to tell you, stay away from it. And they'll tell you any number of reasons. I mean, some of them are going to cost quite a bit of money. So if you're really wanting to figure out, is this going to be worthwhile? Check that list and cross-check it. And if it's not on there, you can always recommend to Ally to take a look at it for you. They actually have a link towards the top of their page. Definitely check it out. All right, and as we start to wrap up today's little self-publishing news podcast here, wanted to share a big shout out and a thank you to Write, Ranch, and Love on Apple Podcasts. Left a review for me, 5 stars. Thank you so much for the 5 stars. Real, helpful, insightful. Thank you. This podcast covers so much aspects of indie publishing, really informational without a lot of personal opinions. I mix my personal opinions in there, but I make sure to express that it is my opinion, because there's going to be some things that are my opinion. Like, I think book awards are fantastic. But there are going to be some people out there that think it's a complete waste of money. Am I right and they're wrong, or am I wrong and they're right? That's up to you. That really is ultimately up to you how that works. So, but you'll know sometimes when I'm actually weighing in with my personal opinion. And hey, have you checked this out yet? The Self-Publishing Hub. That's the Self-Publishing Hub, where I have the video on demand, a library of over 100 videos and hours of footage. It's only $9.99 per month. I'm having new content roll out every week with the intent of rolling out a new series about Amazon KDP for beginners relatively soon, with a number of other courses as well surrounding keywords, reviews, book marketing, and so on and so forth. You can get access. You can subscribe when you like. You can cancel whenever you want to. You can binge watch it if you want to and just cancel it. Just take 1 month and that's it. Go visit theselfpublishinghub.com. Again, that's theselfpublishinghub.com. Don't forget the, because I am the official self-publishing hub. So love to hear from you on what you thought about today's news items. Was there something that I possibly missed? What did you think about some of the controversy surrounding Findaway Voices in the Apple AI? Are you relieved to hear of these changes, or are you kind of, I could care less?